And now that I really think about it, I'm definitely gonna have to go back and watch this movie again, because Eve definitely should have just kept some of that shit to herself, because that's the problem with opening up about your spiritual gifts and things that you experience to certain people who are just closed-minded. It's gonna send you into a whole different level of psychosis that I don't think that you'd be ready for. So yes, if you have certain gifts that you know that you just shouldn't be sharing with other people because they wouldn't understand, don't do it. Yeah, don't do it. I am feeling very much Oshun with all of this white, yellow, and gold on. And I'm just gonna say, I like, y'all peep the earrings. Yeah, that's Oshun. That's that water spirit energy. And of course, obviously with my name being Luna, I have a lot of heavy ties to Yemaya as well as Oshun, but I definitely think I'm more of a daughter of Oshun, but one day I will make that trip to go find out. But either way it goes, I am a devotee to both spirits. I definitely love all this white, gold, and yellow. It's just classic, timeless. I love it. Now let me just say, for this movie, when I say the hoodoo babes did not come to play, the girls was out to play, and may the baddest one of them all win, okay? You couldn't tell them nothing. You couldn't tell them nothing. What's good in the YouTube hood? It's your girl Luna Nova, and I'm back with another one for y'all today. Peace family, and welcome back to another Third Eye movie review, where we break down your favorite spiritual classics but from a different lens. And today we are diving into the lush haunted beauty of the Bayou to get into the southern hoodoo classic gem of Eve's Bayou. Now this movie right here is one of my favorites, and it is not just a coming of age tale. Now, as I stated before, this is one of my favorite hoodoo traditional movies from back in the day. Something that I always watch whenever I'm in the mood for something comforting, as well as the last movie that I posted about. So if you guys didn't hear about the Skeleton Key, y'all definitely should go back and watch last week's movie review, but I digress. So Eve's Bayou is a very interesting movie because it shows us three important things that I take away from the movie. And those three major takeaways would be about generational gifts, ancestral memory, and how divination is nothing to one, play with, and two, it is about possibility, not necessarily fate. It shows you an outcome of what could happen, not definitively what will happen. The 1997 film Eve's Bayou was directed by Kasi Lemmons, and this movie is drenched in spirituality, sensuality, and ancestral magic. Set in the 1960s Louisiana, we follow a 10-year-old Eve whose family secrets start to unfold. And as those secrets start to unfold, her own spiritual gifts strengthen. Not only awaken, but become very strong. From the very beginning, the film whispers to us, and that would be that the truth changes depending on who's telling it. And that alone sets the tone for the film, where sight, memory, and magic all beautifully become blurred. One of the most spiritual themes in this film is generational inheritance, and I'm not talking about trauma, I'm talking about gifts, true spiritual gifts. Because if you couldn't tell, Eve's family is not ordinary. Her Aunt Mozelle is a very gifted and talented psychic and spiritualist, a person who reads people's lives, fate, and sometimes predicts even their deaths. But we quickly find out in the film that this isn't just an exclusive gift to Mozelle, it also belongs to Eve as well. We quickly find out that Eve sees things, she dreams the truth, and she feels things that people won't speak on. That is no coincidence, that is direct spiritual inheritance of a gift. In hoodoo and voodoo tradition, gifts like second sight, mediumship, prophetic dreams, and spiritual intuition are directly passed down through the bloodline, much like a family heirloom. But of course, there's always some type of catch when it comes to spiritual things, right? No, not really, but in this case, there is. The inheritance of this gift also comes with a little bit of weight as well. The more spiritual power that someone carries, the more likely they're called to walk through the pain, the truth, and sometimes loss. Beyond the spiritual gifts, Eve's Bayou also teaches us a very important and shared experience that a lot of us have, and that would be generational curses. Now, a lot of people get hung up when they hear generational curse or just the word curse in general. Be it big or small, a curse is a curse. And if it hasn't been broken, it just hasn't been broken, and therefore it is generational. If your great-great-great-granddaddy was bad with money and he passed those bad habits down to his child and to their child and to their child, baby, you have a generational curse of bad money management. That's a generational curse that needs to be broken. Generational curses don't always have to be super heavy and super spiritual. they can also be within this physical plane as well. But I digress. Now, in Eve's Bayou, infidelity, secrets, and betrayal is something that seems to be circulating around in the family. Emotional wounds passed down from mother to daughter, from father to son, like spiritual residue that lingers. Mozelle is known as a Black Widow because she has lost multiple husbands in very traumatic ways. Eve's mother is emotionally unavailable, choosing survival over softness. And even Eve herself, she begins to carry the weight of blame, pain, and vengeance way too far. But even in the shadows, there is still power. There is choice. And there's also transformation. Because the same way that curses can be passed down, so can healing. So can clarity. And so can spiritual awakening. Now let's get into the heavy spiritualist in the film, and that would be Aunt Mozelle. Now, Aunt Mozelle, again, was a very, very talented divination reader. And we see that her readings throughout the film show us one thing, and that is nothing is set in stone. Mozelle is seeing death before it happens. She's seeing love before it blooms. But even she admits the cards do not control us. They simply reveal what may come if we don't change. And that's an important spiritual message for anyone walking the spiritual path. Divination is not something that locks in your fate. It simply shows your current energy. And I know for me personally as a divination reader, I have told many of my clients this. It goes based off of what the current energy is, not what will happen. Again, energy shifts do cause different outcomes. If your mind changes, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, sometimes your decisions don't align. And so your outcome will therefore change. This is why it seems like certain spells fail, why certain hexes don't seem to hit, and why timelines blend. Because free will and spiritual responsibility are always in play. Even when Eve tries to hex the man that she deems responsible for breaking up her family, the outcome doesn't unfold the way that she expects. Eve's heart was hurting, her spirit was confused, and she just did not understand the full picture of what was going on. This is why I tell a lot of my clients it's important for you to gather all the facts before you start trying to cast spells, because these things right here, they work, okay? They truly do work. They just might not work in the way that you're expecting them to. So, what did we learn watching this movie? Or at least listening to this movie review? Spiritual gifts can pass down through the bloodline, but they have to be guided in order for them to bloom, because otherwise, sometimes those gifts can feel like a curse. If you don't listen to anything else I say, listen to my next sentence. Divination gives us insight, not control. Because a lot of you all come to me expecting me to be able to control the outcome by the way that I read the cards, versus understanding that this is the current energy that will be displayed if nothing changes. If your energy remains the same, if the circumstances, if nothing else changes, the cards that are read is exactly what you will get. If the target changes, then obviously things will change. But again, it is not definitive. It is just a possibility of what could be. Healing our family wounds is how we protect our spiritual legacy. You have to break those generational curses. Just because your great, whoever was bad with love, finances, whatever the case is, doesn't mean that you should carry that on. If anything, it should mean you're aware of it, so break the pattern. Expecting a different result, but doing the same thing over and over, we all know that's insanity. Cut it out. And last but definitely not least, hoodoo, voodoo, and southern folk magic is not evil. I really wish that a lot of people, and specifically a lot of us, would stop holding that negative connotation, because that is what colonization tried to trick us into believing. And a lot of you all truly do believe that. Now, I'm not going to shame anyone who practices other spiritual practices, cultures, or religions. However, don't try to demonize mine because you don't understand it or you've been taught falsely about it. It's not evil. These practices are deeply human, ancestral, and divine. And I have every intention of getting down to the root so I can continue to learn, because I know for me, I'm the first to practice in a few generations, openly that is. So I have a lot to learn. That way I can pass it down to my nieces and nephews, and maybe one of my own one day. That's how we keep culture alive. And by all means, I plan on keeping it alive within my bloodline. Eve may be young in this movie, but she comes from a powerful lineage of women who know how to work that root and trust in that spiritual gift. Eve directly comes from a powerful lineage of women who see beyond the veil. And Eve's journey reminds us that with great insight comes great responsibility. Ask me how I know. If you've ever had a dream that came true, felt someone's energy even before they entered the room, or just had a strong knowing in your bone, mind, body, and spirit, you might just carry these same gifts as well. So nurture it, protect it, and walk in wisdom. So make sure that you drop a comment and tell me, do you possess any type of spiritual gift that you want to share with the Hoodlum family? Or let me know what part of Eve's Bayou hit you the deepest in your spirit. And if you enjoyed this third eye movie review, let me know. And let me know if there's any other movies that you guys are interested in for next week. And of course, as always, you have to make sure that you're a part of the Hoodlum family, because otherwise, why are you here? Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and join the channel as a member, because these videos, I'm pushing them out faster with this new phone I am so happy about. But you get more exclusive insights as well as live video access, because yes, I'm gonna start doing lives with you guys where I'll be doing tarot readings, Q&As, and just letting y'all get a deeper insight to who I am, because I've been trying to hold back certain parts of my personality, and I said, why? Why would I do such a thing? Y'all seem to enjoy me when I'm my most authentic self, so I might as well give you more of that. So go ahead and join the channel as a member so you can get exclusive insights to that, as well as more insights to more vlogs that I'm going to be doing, because you guys enjoyed the New Orleans vlog. So I have a couple of places lined up that I will be traveling to very soon, because I actually just booked somewhere last night. Yeah, it was like 2:30 this morning and I said book the trip. So we're going. So if you guys want more insights about that, make sure that you join the channel as a member. But it's been real. I'm your girl Luna, and this is the Mystic Muse, opening minds, decoding messages, and passing down the spiritual keys. So until next time, make sure that you drink your water, mind your business, and stay protected and protected. And as always, Luna loves you.
The summer I killed my father, I was 10 years old. My brother Poe was 9. And my sister Cicely had just turned 14. The town we lived in was named after a slave. It said that when General Jean-Paul Baptiste was stricken with cholera, his life was saved by the powerful medicine of an African slave woman called Eve. In return for his life, he freed her and gave her this piece of land by the Bayou. Perhaps in gratitude, she bore him 16 children. We are the descendants of Eve and Jean-Paul Baptiste. I was named for her.
Now, darling, I really love you.
Daddy, it's late.
What you doing up?
Waiting for you. But you think I'm doing it. What's your pleasure this evening, Doctor?
Scotch and water, bartender. Where's your mama?
Everybody's asleep, Daddy. Mom was nervous, so Romero gave her a tablet. That woman's got every pill in the world.
Speaking of the infirm, I guess I better go check on Tommy. Maybe I'll take him out for a late night stroll. Or should I say, roll?
Daddy, I think you're drunk.
I've delivered babies drunker. Conceived babies much drunker. I ever tell you about the night we made Poe?
No.
I got in a fight with some knucklehead over at King's and came to under the pool table. Now, Roz was sore at me about some little things, so she hadn't spoken to me in about a week. I thought, damn, woman finds out I've been drinking and fighting, she's gonna leave me. Well, anyway, they take me home, and she sees me all messed up, and she starts weeping and kissing me and weeping. And 9 months later, Poe.
Do you still love her?
Sweetheart, let me tell you something. When I met your mama, men fought each other for the privilege of speaking her name. She was so pretty, it was painful just to look at her. And she could dance almost as good as you.
But not quite.
Nope, not quite. But holding Roz Redding was like holding your favorite feather pillow. The one you just can't sleep without.
And now?
Well, you know how it is with feather pillows. Over the years, they get lumpy and deflated. You have to fluff them up all the time just to keep them, comme un prosciutto.
Daddy! Hey, Daddy.
Hey, pumpkin head. Look who's up. You know what time it is? It's time for you gals to be in bed.
No, Daddy.
Yes, your mama would kill me if she finds out I had you up. I'm just gonna finish my drink, check on Tommy, then I'm headed to bed myself. Night, night owls.
Night, Daddy.
Mozelle didn't really have any reason to dislike Elzora the way she did, but Elzora had every reason to dislike Mozelle the way she did. And if you think about it, Mozelle and Elzora are the two most similar characters in the movie, but the way they're expressed is completely different because these two women do the exact same thing, they just get received completely differently. Mozelle and Elzora both give readings, they both read shells. At times, and this is the big difference, Mozelle will dabble in voodoo, but Elzora makes this part of her normal practice. In contrast, though, the way they're packaged up is really what makes the difference between the two of them. Mozelle is somebody who's pretty, she's kept up, she looks good every time you see her, has nice outfits. Elzora, on the other hand, she works out of a half of a shack down at the marketplace. And it's during the scene where Mozelle and Roz are down at the marketplace for the first time, where they witness Elzora, and Mozelle makes a comment to Roz about her ability, saying she's a con woman or something similar, even though Roz just wants to get a reading, thinking it would be a good time. And by all accounts, Elzora is correct in her reading. She's able to predict what will happen. And to me, despite disliking the Batiste women, she was still kind in her delivery to Roz at the time, telling her just to look for her children or look to her children for happiness. She could have been a lot more harsh with the delivery, and Roz still got upset because she didn't tell her what she wanted to hear. Mozelle went over to get a reading from her, and she could already read the energy coming off of her. She probably knew what was up spiritually, so she didn't need to even look at the cat bones that she was using to do her readings to make an assessment of Mozelle, and that pissed Mozelle off tremendously because she told her the truth, and she told her who Mozelle really was. There's also some irony in Mozelle calling Elzora a con woman, because there's one point in the series where Mozelle is giving a reading to a client who had lost all of her resources. And towards the end of the reading, she tells the client that if she completes this ritual, she would be okay, just to keep the package of the ritual next to her chest when she finishes it. And at the end of the session, Eve tells her that she thought she had stopped dabbling in voodoo, and basically her aunt brushes her off. And Eve goes on to say, well, how do you know it's going to work? And her aunt goes, I don't, but I don't think she'll sue me. So the only one of them who was actually scamming people was Mozelle. But she did give that service for free, but, you know, had she had charged, it would have been a scam. Now, as far as the Batiste curse goes, I don't know if I can really say it was Elzora who put one on them. I don't think that's the truth. I think some things are as a result of your own actions. So I mean this to say that the Batiste family are the cause of their own undoing. This is a family that by all accounts had everything, and yet enough was never enough. So, for instance, there's several points in the film where Mozelle is telling Eve that her and her brother are two of a kind. And at one point, she's telling Eve that she knows her brother had an affair, but she shouldn't look down on him or treat him too unkindly because she had one at one point too. And her affair resulted in the loss of life for her then husband, Reynard. And at the end of the film, we see that Louis's affair results in his end of life. And I said it in my previous video, if you look at the way in which Mozelle's husband died and the way that her brother died, they are mirrors of each other, except Mozelle got her husband killed, her brother got himself killed. And so I do think in that happening, when her brother got his karma basically, and Mozelle had been getting her karma technically, I think that is really what ended the curse. They were able to accept their roles in the demise of their own lives and livelihoods and that of others. And as a result, perhaps that's what broke the curse that they were experiencing. And then when you think about Eve, Eve was part of the undoing too, her own undoing, because Eve is the one who propositioned Elzora to make the spell or perform the ritual that would unalive her father. And then when you think of Cecily, and that's the only one that I debate, I didn't even want to bring her up in the video, but I think it's important. When you think about Cecily, depending on whose version of the story you believe, hers or her father's, if Cecily lied, and I don't know, they left it ambiguous, but if Cecily lied, then she would have played a part in her own undoing, because she would have directly contributed to the death of her father as well. But anyways, that is my rundown. I hope to hear what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next video.
Are you related to Moselle Baptiste?
I'm her niece.
And she the one you want dead?
No, someone else.
Too bad. Tant pis. Why you want this person dead? Que faire?
Raison privée.
This person harm you?
Others in my family.
I will give you something to protect you and your family from this person.
I want him dead. Mon élément.
For certain. You are sure?
Yes, ma'am.
People have a way of dying at their own speed. But I will see what I can do. I will need some hair from the head of this person.
I brought you some from a comb. I hope it's enough, though.
Well, eh bien. But don't be too eager. You'll come back Thursday night, and we will see. Is he dead yet?
How could he be dead? You didn't give me the doll.
What doll? I didn't say nothing to you about no doll.
The voodoo doll.
I didn't make you no voodoo doll. I made you a wax coffin. I put his hair inside the mouth of the snake, buried it in the graveyard. He should be dead by now.
I thought I had to do something first, like stick pins in it, or...
You did something. You brought me his hair. And you paid me $20.
But I wanted it. I wanted to have it. I need it. Oh, God.
You said you was certain.
Eve. Cicely's been in the goddamn bathtub for an hour. You know that? She stayed in there 3 hours yesterday.
Fortunately, there's more than one bathroom in this house.
Ain't that much dirt in all Louisiana. Get out of the damn tub!
You watch your language, young lady.
Mommy keeps stabbing herself in the kitchen. Show her your hands, Mama.
I think you better hush.
And where's Daddy? He's never home. He's supposed to be home sometimes.
Listen, you little ingrate. Your father works hard so we can have a house with 4 bathrooms.
Not every night he's not working. I know he's not. I mean...
Let me borrow you for a minute.
Poe?
When Eve asked to see what happened that night, I noticed something very interesting. When they use their spiritual gifts, it's always shown in order, so I'm just going to assume that this vision is no different. The first image is of the kiss, which I feel looks very different from both of their retellings. Lewis's eyes are wide open and he looks more alert and awake, and the kiss is more reciprocated. He even leans in and meets her halfway. Then in the next scene, both Cicely and Lewis are staring at each other for a moment, which did not happen in either of their retellings. Originally, they went from kissing and then immediately to the slap. After they look at each other for a moment, he slaps her and that's it. Because throughout the movie the visions have been accurate and shown in black and white, I think this version is the closest retelling to the truth. What makes this ending even more compelling was that there was originally a somewhat different version. In the director's cut that was released in 2016, a missing part of the film would have clarified a tiny bit more on what happened that night. Now, I tried to get my hands on this copy, but I honestly couldn't find it. A character named Uncle Tomei was part of the original cut. He was supposed to be the mute and deaf brother who saw everything that happened that night. Even though the only person who witnessed what happened couldn't verbally tell anyone, I think his actions told a lot. Like I said before, I don't have the director's cut, but for anyone who does, let me know if I get any details wrong. While seeing what happened that night, Uncle Tomei dropped a glass to not only disrupt them, but to also make sure they're aware he was there. If something goes on long enough that you have to make them aware that you're seeing what's happening, it probably went on way too long. If it was innocent, then Tomei would have never had to drop a glass to interrupt it. Also, if both Cicely and Lewis quickly realized what was going on, the slap would have happened so quickly that Uncle Tomei wouldn't even have had the chance to announce his presence. With knowing this information and seeing what really happened in the last vision, it became clear to me that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I think that they both mutually started kissing. Uncle Tomei dropped the glass, and this is when they paused and looked at each other. To save face, Lewis slapped her and then Cicely ran off. I do want to say that I only fault Lewis in this situation. He is the adult, and he clearly knew he was blurring the boundary line between him and Cicely. Even though the director, Kasi, admitted that Uncle Tomei was cut out for different reasons.
It's not necessarily something I'm supposed to talk about. You know, it's in the contracts and but it, you know, he just didn't like it. The movie was financed by one person, and I think that I think that there was. To me, it was important that there were very beautiful people and that there was something also that countered that. You know what I mean? That felt real to me. I think he liked the beautiful people were important. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if we're gonna present this strange, kinky little dream of yours, Casey, you know, like let's keep it pretty. That's not him talking though. That's me kind of extrapolating. But I think that, you know, they were also beautiful, you know, and then there was Uncle Tomei. But to me, that was kind of like what I was trying to say.
Don't you think you're being a little immature?
I beg your pardon?
Keeping us in the house because Aunt Mozelle's seeing things. And not one day to go to work. What's wrong with you?
If you're lucky, you might live long enough to one day have a husband and children of your own. But until then, this is my house and you will do as I say. Do you understand? I said, do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. No one leaves this house until I say so.
Mozelle Baptiste Delacroix is easily one of the most complex characters in Eve's Bayou. Spoilers ahead. Of course, many people would consider her to be a Black Widow, but let's unpack that. Mozelle is such a young and beautiful woman that it's easy for her to attract men. However, she's secretly insecure, and that's not the only secret she keeps. Because she's insecure, she inadvertently consumes many lovers to feed her ego. This is what keeps her trapped in the cycle of being the Black Widow. This cycle can be broken, but she's the one that has to do it. Also, this is similar to how her brother Louis consumes many lovers to feed his ego. It's not your fault, they, Eve says as she consoles Aunt Mozelle after Harry's passing. But the more that we learn about Mozelle's story, we see that that isn't wholly true. For example, Maynard loved her most of all, and yet Mozelle carried on an extramarital affair with Hosea, who fell so madly in love with Mozelle that he took Maynard's life, because if he couldn't have her, no one could. Could Mozelle have put a root on Jose? It's really hard to say for sure, but I think it's possible. Someone in the comments of my Uncle Tomei video theorized that Mozelle worked on Uncle Tomei to stop him from speaking. I believe Mozelle could be working on Roz as well. Let's consider when Roz opens up about the pains of her marriage with Louis. Mozelle eventually assures Roz that one day Louis will turn around and truly see her for the first time, to which Roz responds, "What if it's too late?" At this point, Mozelle says, "Let's eat pomegranates till our hands turn red, and all we can talk about is getting the juice off." Is this harmless, or is Mozelle working on Roz in some way to pacify her? She certainly would have incentive, but we'll need to get into that later. First, we'll need to reveal what of Mozelle's truth, if any, Elzora revealed during her reading. First of all, Mozelle doesn't believe Elzora has the gift, or at least that's what she says. Mozelle also looks down on Elzora in a way that draws attention to how the black bourgeoisie's Eurocentrism causes them to demonize Afrocentric spirituality, a schism that in some ways still exists in the black community today. Elzora's reading of Ross seems to partly come into fruition when Louis, a soldier, falls on his own sword, his hubris, the night that Lenny Moreau took his life. And naturally, she would need to look to her children for support through this really difficult time. So what about Mozelle? Elzora basically resigned her to the fate of the Black Widow, right? Well, there's two things to consider here. One, Elzora didn't need to be psychic to see what was going on. She, like everyone else in the community, knew how Louis moved. It was only a matter of time before his karma caught up with him. Two, Elzora wasn't a fan of the Batiste family, especially Elzora, who constantly looked down on her. Remember, when Eve went to her for help unaliving someone, Elzora asked if it was for Mozelle, and she appeared disappointed when she found out it wasn't. And it's important to note here that Eve already set Lenny Moreau on the warpath before her consultation with Elzora. So Elzora could have gotten her information from the gossip and rumor mill, and she delivered it with such a bite because of her disdain for the Batiste family. This film's ambiguity, one of the biggest reasons we're still talking about it today, reminds us that the truth is somewhere in between. Elzora spoke the truth, whether she learned it from her gift or gossip. And the Batiste family has no right to look down on Elzora, especially Mozelle, who essentially does the same type of work through her psychic consultations. So much of what Mozelle feels about Elzora turns out to be a projection. And this also brings me to my point of Mozelle's incentive of wanting Roz to stay. Eve hears Mozelle doing what she believes to be voodoo for one of her clients. It actually sounds closer to hoodoo, but that's beside my point. And like actual kids, y'all know Eve has no filter, calling Mozelle out for seemingly lying to Louis about doing that type of work. Later, when Louis, Roz, their children, and Grandma sit down for dinner, we hear what Mozelle's family truly thinks about her. Louis basically says that she's out of her mind, which is also a great way to invalidate the one person who knows who he truly is. But at any rate, Grandma agrees, but adds that her visions always come true. Roz and the children, on the other hand, don't talk about Mozelle this way. But her own brother, the one who she's hiding the type of work she truly does from, really looks down on her, the same way Mozelle looks down on Elzora. It's no coincidence. And if Mozelle grew up with her family looking down on her like that, that might be part of the reason she's so insecure. And selfishly, the reason why Mozelle wants to keep Roz around, even if it's detrimental to her. When she touched the hands of the men who would soon become her lovers, she became entranced by seeing nothing because she was chasing the void. Mozelle and Louis both lost their way, which is why they were destroying the lives of everyone around them, chasing that void. When Louis passed, Mozelle's dream represented the ego death that needed to occur for that Black Widow cycle to be broken. Louis failed to break his cycle, so it broke him. One of those countless lovers he was consuming to feed his ego proved to be his end. It was a warning for Mozelle if she didn't change. If Elzora's vision was real, it was only true if Mozelle didn't change. And if Mozelle's old self truly is gone, she'll find love blossoming in her life in ways that she never imagined.
Some things are better left unsaid.
I paid you $1, old woman. Now tell my fortune.
I don't need no cat bones to tell your fortune, Mozelle Baptiste. You are a curse. The Black Widow. Next man who marries you is a dead man, like the others. Always be that way.
Salmonton!